Right, I can see a few of you coming on now. Good evening, anyone that's coming on so far. How's it going? Right, I'll get my thank yous out the way. Piers Waddington's just come on and put, I think I suggested Mick to you. No, I've spoke to Mick before, Piers. We did a written one as well. Right, I'll get my thank yous out the way before we get underway. Big thanks to the support to Simon Pardo of White Eagle Finance. They give quality financial advice for pensions, mortgages, investments, and protection. Check the website out at www.whiteeaglefinance.co.uk. Big thanks to Stefan Everts with his S72 gin and vodka brand. Check out his amazing products out at www.s72gin.com, as you can see on my hat there. Big thanks also to Lee Owen of Owen Developments. They specialize in supplying turbochargers to a global customer base, covering motorsport, performance, aftermarket, and OEM sectors. Check out their shop side on www.owenturbos.com and also www.owendevelopments.co.uk. Right, got my thank yous out the way. I've got a brilliant guest for you this evening in the motocross world, people. I'm sure you're excited to see this man on. I have been. So here we go then. Let's get the countdown underway. Right then, people, I've got none other than 2 times AMA 125cc outdoor motocross champion, also AMA Supermoto champion, and he also did a win for the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb champion. He's a very talented motorcyclist of all counts, and here he is. Let's bring him in. Mr. Micky Dymond himself. How's it going, Micky?
It's going good. How are you doing?
Really good. Nice to meet you. Just had a quick chat off air, but I really do appreciate your time, mate. It's really cool.
Yeah, I enjoy your show, and I had a tough year, but I did start with you early in the year and with a questionnaire, and I'm glad you're doing well.
Thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate that. It's really cool to see some of you legends that get to see some of the interviews as well and reminisce about all the memories. It's what it's all about, so it's really cool. So then, let's get this underway then, Micky. How did you actually get into motocross? And what was your earliest memory of the sport?
Well, my dad and his brothers rode motorcycles, and I rode mini bikes and went to the desert and did stuff like that when I was a kid. And it became something bigger when I was probably about 13. We started doing it more and started to go and attend races. And I had a little lull in the middle, like for a year. I didn't do much, did other sports. And then when I was 15 years old, I think that's when we started to race and race often. And in America, motocross was still pretty like a growing sport, especially in California. And we got to do a lot of racing and a lot of local events, and just became our, like, not just my focus, but our family focus. And we did a lot of stuff with a lot of different people, but all through my dad actually was, he was hopeful that I would like really attach myself to racing. So that's how it worked out.
Can you remember the first bike you actually ever went on?
Well, I had a RM80, and I think it was probably about a 78 RM80. Yeah. And like in the very late 70s, we did a RM80. I graduated to 250 Kawasaki, maybe. And then when we started racing and it became like that was what we did, my dad liked Maicos. So to be honest, I was probably about 130 pound 15-year-old kid, and my dad brought home a Maico 400, and and then we did different classes. I did 250s and 125s, but I think in the beginning, we lived really near a famous motorcycle park called Saddleback, and I rode there a lot. Eventually, I believe it was in the very early 80s that our neighbor, who owned a car dealership, ended up purchasing and running Saddleback Park. So our neighbor had the shop for cars, and then he ended up buying a motorcycle shop, but he also owned Saddleback Park. So sort of was in the right place at the right time, I guess. And I got to do a lot of racing and riding, and was always around kids about my same age that were into motorcycles. So it's kind of like that.
Who was the sort of guys that were around racing, sort of youth racing, when you were sort of that age and into the racing as well then?
Well, from the magazines at that time, I was aware of certain racers, Mike Bell and Bob Hanna and Jeff Ward, whom I know today, and have pretty much followed him as a racer. He was the youngest, most, I don't know, somebody that we wanted to be like. And I followed those guys, and I saw them at races. It took a little while before I could race against those guys, but that happened a little bit later. But always had sort of heroes in the sport because of what I saw in the magazines. And when the local race came around, we got to go watch the pros, and I just wanted to do that too. So they were enticing me to keep following racing.
Like us guys in the UK, we all saw you guys through the glossy magazines and obviously the videos at that time, VHS videos and stuff like that. It was really cool. Because obviously I first actually sort of became aware of you as a youngster was like in the GPs, when you come over to the GPs in the early 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
I had dabbled in a couple of GPs when I was at my best in the US, and the chances that I did get to go and race on a team in Europe, and actually I went and I lived in Italy a couple of years, the 2 years that I did the 250 championship, and I just never could really get it together. And I'd always have some type of injury that, I was trying to work around. Damaged knee the first time, and the second time I hurt it again, so it was pretty much over. But I loved racing in Europe, but I wish I had done it earlier, before when I was at my best.
So was that the GPs you did before that, before you actually did the full seasons? Was that when it come over to America? Because there was a few, weren't there, in Unadilla, places like that? I don't know if you did them ones.
Yeah, well, I think the first real GP that I did on a 125 was in Brazil, and that was at the end of our season in 1986. And it was an attempt to go show that I could race against and do well against the European guys, so I could be on Trophy of Nations team in the United States. And at the end of our season, we raced in Washougal, Washington, and I clinched the championship there. And then we immediately put that same bike on a plane and sent it to Brazil. And I flew over and did that race. And I won that race. So I was really hopeful that I would become the team rider for the Trophy of Nations team, but it didn't happen. And that year was the Majora was the racetrack for the Trophy of Nations, and actually Johnny O'Mara rode that same bike, and it was a great bike. So and he had like the ride of his life, and even beat all the the 250 and 500 bikes, and so the bike made it, but I didn't. And but I don't know if I could have, I'm sure I could have done well against the European guys, but that's how that worked. But that was the first GP that I did. I did a couple in the US. Maybe the first time ever I rode a GP was at Carlsbad on a Husky, and I want to say that it was 84. And I did a good one moto. I think I finished 5th or 6th in a moto, and so I was like pretty excited to, for us in America, the United States Grand Prix was always at Carlsbad, and it was a pretty important event for actually all for motocross racing in all the world. So I've had a couple of good GP rides, but coming over there in the early 90s to I rode for Belgardi Yamaha the first year in 90, 91, 92. I tried to ride with Trampus Parker's team, and looked good at times, but it never came together for me there.
Yeah, I remember that. We'll go into that later when I show a few pictures up and stuff. But I do remember that well, and that's how I sort of first got to know you as a youngster. Who was your out-and-out idol then? Who was the one you really looked up to and inspired to be, sort of, when everyone pretended to be their idols or anything like that? Who inspired you to start with?
There was a lot of riders that in my early pro racing years, there was a lot of riders that were local guys that never really made it, but were great riders. And so I had people that I like raced with locally that I admired, I watched, and I learned from. But as far as trying to be or emulate a famous pro, I believe David Bailey was probably the most for me. Johnny O'Mara. There was guys that I got to be teammates with later, and then I really took the advantage of being with them to see what they did and to learn how they rode, and then as time grew on, you learn how they prepared, how they trained, how they ate, what they did on the daily basis that made them good at what they're doing. But David Bailey was probably the best, because I always thought that like he just did things better than most anybody else. So I guess that would be the guy that I would like try to be like the most. But there was other people that would do amazing things, like Jeff Ward was another one that would, he just would have a certain day where he wasn't going to get beat. Or Danny Chandler was another guy that like, he could be the fastest guy ever, for this day. And then he could also be like the worst guy ever for this other day, and
pretty inconsistent.
yeah, it takes a lifetime to figure out that even if you are the best, you're not always gonna be the best on that specific day. And even if you're the worst, there's also the chance that you could have a day where you'll be the best that day, so yeah, it's funny that you learn it after, if I could only have this mind. Yeah, and I was 17 and I just started racing. So yeah,
there's a lot of things to learn, aren't there? That's for sure. So yeah, obviously when you did my written interview, so basically what happened, I know that you had obviously this cycling incident. You all completely okay now? Is everything fine?
Yeah, I'm still doing some therapy, and I still have a little ways to go with my cognitive, my mind basically. And I make progress in sort of waves, and yeah, I'm still working on that. But yeah, last year I was preparing to go to Europe to do the Superbikers, the race in Mate, and I flew to Orange County. I live in Northern California, up above San Francisco area, and I went down there because it was like a better flight, and I was paying for my flight, so it made more sense to go out of there. Plus, I have family down there, so I was down there, and I caught up with David Bailey and my dentist, a guy named Steve Weidler, and we went for a bike ride on a pretty familiar designated bicycle paved road that goes from like almost from Corona to the beach. And we've done it 1,000 times. And I fell over and I hurt myself pretty bad. And I was in a coma for a little while, for like a week, and broke a few bones, and I'm still dealing with a bad hip right now. But yeah, it's unexpected, and especially after a life where you're crashing at high speed on occasion, and or on a high jump or something. And I fell over on a bicycle, and I was more injured than I'd ever done. That type of damage to myself on a 100-mile-an-hour crash, so
crazy.
yeah. But yeah, it's been a difficult year because of that. And like I said, I'm still working on getting some of it back. But yeah, it's been a crazy year all the way around for all kinds of different reasons. But that is yeah, that's kind of what I've had to deal with all year. So
well, thank God you're okay, and it's good to see you looking well, mate.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I feel like just like it's almost like you have different tastes, different thoughts, and have to I don't know, assume that you're like in a different body and spirit. Like, is your spirit's the same, but you're like a I don't know. It's like you're You're
Do you feel
trying
like
to.
you feel changed, as in like sort of appreciating things more, or do you? Obviously, it was quite serious, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
you appreciate life, as it were.
Yes.
Mm.
There's a lot of things that throughout your life you're focused on many things, and having awareness of all things around there and the simple things. You have to slow way down to achieve that awareness, and I guess I'm still working on it. I read a lot, so I get a lot of information that way, and it is it's good to slow down and smell the roses and do those things. But yeah, I haven't been on a bike, motorcycle since then, and a lot of my life is like seemingly different because of that. And I get to watch it and all, but it would be nice to get back on, and even in a calm and safe manner. It was
Chilled out way, in a chilled out way.
Yeah, I know it feels good. I would like to do that again.
Yeah. Loads of people said, good to see you looking wow. My mum took my mother's on, and she actually took it a little bit further, and she put, he is very dishy.
Oh,
She's
well,
terrible. She's terrible.
That's good to know.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, well.
Hub Gerlins from Netherlands said the Maicos are good.
Yeah.
Do you have good memories of those Maicos?
I did, and I do even today. My memory of racing those years where the bike was this, like when you rode a 500 and you were a 15-year-old kid that like would, I could barely pick it off the ground if it fell over. But the horsepower was an experience, and you would always have a surprise, like every time you rode, every session you were on the track, you would learn something or be punished with something that you were unaware of, like this much throttle is good. Sometimes it's more than enough, and I learned a lot about being able to work together with a motorcycle, with using the power. And those Maicos were hard to make carburate good, and you had to learn how to. Back then they were hard to make the carburation run good or safe, and so you had to learn a lot and be capable of not blowing up your bike because it's too lean. But it wasn't too fat to where it wouldn't run good. You had to make it run good but not too good. And those things, if you made them a little too lean, they would seize. And we seized quite a few of them.
Quite between a fun line, then.
Well, between me and my dad, because he liked to do all the maintenance, and we would we buy the good race fuel, and he would mix it, and sometimes he would mix it a little too lean, and we'd seize a bike, or every now and then, no offense to my dad, but every now and then he'd forget to put fuel in it. So about halfway through the race, it would be like oh, you know, and it would be a
Oh,
bad
wow.
thing, you know.
Yeah, not good.
Sometimes it would, you know, you'd crash and like, what the hell? Oh, I forgot to put gas in it.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Not good, not good. Right, I got a few of the guys asking questions. Gareth Edwards on Facebook has put, could you ask Mickey if the Supercross tracks were way harder when he rode? Because I remember them being very gnarly, and he's a cool dude.
No, thanks. Well, at times they were trying new tracks, so they weren't like now they've got so many that they can choose from, and they do such a great job now with the tracks. But I think a lot of times they had a plan, but when they got there, they make a jump that was not exactly 70 feet. It would be, you know, today it might be 79 feet. And, you know, so, yeah, we had some learning, you know, to do with tracks. And through the early to the mid 80s, they started to make more big jumps. And I remember that there was a group of people that thought that they were getting too dangerous. So they were, you know, sometimes they would protest some of the tracks, I guess. But yeah, they had to learn what was too big sometimes.
Yeah. What was the track preparation in general, and then sort of days in the Supercross and Motocross? Was it okay, or a lot to be desired, or?
No, there were some that were really great, but there was some that, like, the dirt wasn't, you know, like I remember Seattle would always have like such spongy and wet dirt because they couldn't store it in a place that it would, you know, be dry and ready to go. And then there was other places that you'd get there and it'd be like big rocks and stuff. But now they've worked it out and they've got great dirt. But yeah, there were some surprises every now and then.
Cool. I got. I think he's not registered, but he wrote underneath John Curley. He's put a great racer. I remember him at Bercy on the YZ. What was your memories of Bercy? That was a really cool one. All of us UK guys loved the Bercy Paris Supercross.
Hey Lee, I gotta dip for just like 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
I'll come right back on. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
No problem. No worries. No problem. I'm just having a quick look along your questions, people. Thanks for getting some questions going. I can just having a quick look through your questions while Mickey's just gone off to do something quick. Maybe a toilet break. I can just see your questions. I've got all my pictures together, people, so we've got loads of them to go on. Got lots of things to tell you guys as well, so don't disappear after the interview. I've got keep you all up to date with what the interviews are, update you on the Chad Reed. You can see the competition signed shirt in the background there. And I've also got a new bike to announce as well that'll be with me on Monday. So that's cool. And I've also got a share review, something that Brian Jorgensen sent me as well. So
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. So I think we mentioned Paris Supercross from John Curley. Yeah. That's where we're at.
I got to go in 1986 to Bercy, and there was a team there, or a motorcycle shop that was called the Moreau, Team Moreau, and they provided me a bike, and it turned out to be, you know, like a great racing weekend. And And I still go back and I see the Moreaus. They do a memorial because Michael Moreau passed away a little, maybe a little bit more than 10 years ago. But and they supported me a couple different times there.
Yeah.
And we had a really great the final race. There was like 3 nights in a row, and the final night I did win. I think the second night I was gonna, but the bike broke, and then he brought a second bike, and we changed parts over, and it was great. But guy just really went all out of. Just made everything happen for us. So
that's cool.
But it was a great weekend for me, and I remember that the track was made by Gary Bailey, David's dad, and had a couple different things on the track that made it special. It's so small there, they were it was like a 20-ish second lap time, and but it was super fun, and I loved going to France, from that was the first time I think I went to France, and then I've been there many times since then. So
because obviously it was quite a big show, wasn't it? Wasn't it quite lucrative for the guys to go over there? I know that they love to have all the Americans over, all the top guys over there. It was very cool to watch. Big show.
Actually, and it was for me. I saw it that way because in America you would see it on in the magazines, and it looked like, oh, that's got to be that's like a party and a race at the same time. So it was something that a lot of riders didn't get to go do because they only took like maybe there was probably like 10 guys from America would be there. So but you kind of really wanted to attend that race, and I got to that year, and actually I won one of the races, and it was cool to go there.
I might be wrong because when I advertised the thing, someone mentioned to me something about the Paris Supercross, and someone was saying something about you jumping a certain jump or something first, maybe, or something like that. I don't know if that was right. Was it? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 88.
Yeah.
Like each year there's always something. I think Gary Bailey made a whoop section, and he buried telephone poles and used concrete and concreted them in. So they stood up and they lasted. And I like maybe by accident, but I hit it in the wrong gear, and I was going too fast, but I couldn't just downshift. I was in the middle of them already, and I skated across the top of them. So then I was like, wow, that worked out good. So the next lap I did it again, and it worked. And so that was the way that I did those. That was the first year. The second was probably in the end of 87. So I was on a Yamaha, and there was a double sort of out of the first turn, and then a big tabletop. And I don't know if I did it already, but on the parade lap, I tried it, and I want to say that worked out okay, but and then in the race, I did it, and then the guy that you had on a couple weeks ago, Rob Herring was behind me,
Oh,
so he
yeah.
did it. So
Nice.
we did it. We both did it.
Oh, yeah.
And they decided it was too dangerous, so they put a couple bumps out of the turn between the first turn and the first double. And then I tried it on the parade lap for the semifinal or something, and I clipped the hay bale and I wrecked the bike.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so then and then the mechanic had to do a bunch of stuff for the rest of the weekend. But that was the jump that made a lot of people excited. It was a pretty good jump. And yeah,
and I knew Rob Herring. He'd come from sort of the South Africa, and they did a lot of the Supercross stuff as well. So he was always game for the jump. So he obviously spotted you doing it.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, Herring was so fast. Even like the first year that I did GPs when I was with Belgarda Yamaha. On occasion, he would just take off, and even at Unadilla one year, he got the whole shot of like the first moto, and it was the year that like Rick Johnson won. Hannah got second and beat me. I was coming back from having like a long injury to my hand, so I was, by the time I was at 20 minutes into the race, I was dying. So Hannah beat me both races. But in the beginning of that first moto, Herring got in front, and I was second. But after 2/3 of the lap, I couldn't even see him anymore. And then he ended up going down that screw you part of the track, and he went off. And I didn't even. He went and crashed before I was even going down the hill, so I didn't even see him crash. So then I couldn't figure out where he went. He's like, man, he's so fast I can't even see him. But he was super fast on occasion.
He was very quick. Very quick. Yeah, he had a few big get-offs, unfortunately. He was sort of crashed and burned a few times, but he was rapid, that's for sure. I've got Scott Bowman. He put, glad to see you looking well, Mickey. It would be great to see you at Farley Castle in the UK. We get this quite a bit.
Yeah, I do see Dave King.
Dave King, yeah.
And and he's suggested that I go, and we just haven't we hadn't made it work yet. I usually see him at the Memory of Moreau event, and I still plan to go as soon as we can travel in the US. I mean, we didn't get to go this year because of it, but I'm on the list to go next year. So I hope I will see you there. Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for that then. There you go, Scott. So hopefully next year, maybe we can see Mickey there. Got Ben Piggin put, hi Lee, can you ask Mickey, if he had grown up in this era, what would he have preferred to race? The AMA Supercross or Motocross, or the MXGP over here in Europe? Interesting.
Yeah. Well, when I watch the GPs now, I don't know. They're really fast. Hurling and
Hurlings,
Coyote, like everybody that I'd say they'd be harder to beat right now. And the tracks, I believe. I don't know. Maybe it'd be it would be good to see if somebody could do both.
Yeah, that'll be good.
like Marty Smith did it one year, and he did 125 in Europe and in America. Yeah, maybe somebody will do that or attempt that. But
that's interesting.
I don't know. That's a both of them are incredibly difficult. With Tomac and Muskin and all the American guys, Barsha. But over in Europe, I would say there may be each place has its specialty and special riders. It would be difficult for like the top guy from each side go to the other side. Would be extremely difficult. Which is great because that's the quality of racing and the equipment and the training and the fitness, all of the different things that go to being a great racer and being able to win.
Cool.
Maybe there should be like the old days. We had like the Trans Am series where Europeans would go over to the US and do that series, and maybe it's 5 or 6 races. Maybe that would be a good attempt with both federations in Europe and US to put on a series like that.
I think
so everybody gets to like it's a global, the global championship.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think that's why everyone always looked forward to the Motocross the Nations so much. Because that got to come together, as it were. But then I suppose it depended on where it was and who it suited at that time. But Americans obviously did well in the Motocross the Nations for many years. Pretty cool. Very cool. Right, I've got someone on YouTube's put, "Hi Mickey, how did you get involved with the Crusty Demons?"
I
remember that.
Yeah, the Crusty Demons, the first one that they did, the first film, a friend of mine, Brian Manley, he was a part of that and pretty much was the motorcycle guy that joined the snowboard guys, and they came up with this idea to do a film because they were filming and doing a lot of snowboard stuff and had some success already. And then they brought that style that they were doing those films and brought them to the the Crusty Demons. I don't know how that name came about, but it became super popular. The first one had it had a big impact on a lot of people, and I think I was invited to go do something, and I just, it didn't come together. And then when they did the part 2, I did a couple rides because Brian called me and invited me to do something. And I'd started to dabble a little bit in like the vet pro races on occasion. So I was riding just a little bit, and I went out and did a few rides when they were filming, especially in because most everything that I did was in Southern California at that time. And I mean, it wasn't like a big plan. It just kind of fell together. So I did a couple of jumps and had a part.
Very cool. Very cool. Everyone definitely bought into it at that time, didn't they?
They were a lot of fun because there's a lot of guys that were somewhat retired or taking a weekend off and just go to do, play riding. And the things that broke up the monotony of, going out and doing motos all day.
Training.
That part of what you did on a motorcycle, they put into those films, and they had huge success, man. I think they made, I don't know where they're at now, but they had like Crusty, 22 or whatever. They had a lot of them. So,
very cool. I remember them as a kid as well. Very cool. Right, I got Rob Matheson. He's put, how was riding for Honda compared to the Husqvarna?
Quite a bit different. I really had a great time and experience with Husky. I worked with Dick Burleson and Mark Blackwell, guys that I didn't, they were sort of way before me, so I didn't really know them as racers, but learned about them later. Both were very successful racers in their, their designated form of racing. Blackwell was motocross and won a 500cc championship in the U.S. And Dick Burleson was in the off-road world. I worked with a couple different mechanics. I had a mechanic named Bill West who worked for Rick Burgett and won a championship with Yamaha. So he was a good mechanic. And he and additional people, engine tuners and so forth, worked on that 250 Husky that I rode. The 500 was much better, riding the 500 class on a Husky. The bike was already closer because of the horsepower, but the 250 wasn't so great. And Bill West made some special things for it. So we broke it down a lot. It didn't survive that long, but it would run good. So I started to do good in Supercross on a Husky, especially, stock for stock, a Honda. In like, if you go back to like 84 and 85, if you put those two bikes together, it's like a world of difference. But with those guys, they made it work good. But I really started to do better in Supercross because of what they did with the bike. Moving over to Honda, and there was great guys over there at Husky, but when you went to Honda, I worked with Dave Arnold was the team manager. Roger DeCoster was more or less the team manager / team manager, but also like just advisor and technician, and he helped organize everything with those bikes. All of them, the 125, the 250 and 500. So plus he was, it was weird in the beginning because I was so respectful of what those guys had done already. And now I was on one of their bikes and I wanted to do the best job I could. So those guys were for months intimidating as hell for me. And until I could, even when you won, you went to a race and you won the race, you still didn't know that was good. That was good enough. And you always wanted to do more and do a better job than you did. And it was a intense, but also very rewarding time at Honda in those years, or in that time of my I did 2 years with Honda. But just the company itself and all of the people that were involved in the team, those guys, I mean, just legends already. Plus add all the Japanese, because the Japanese had technicians there. And when you went and rode, every lap that you were on the bike, there was somebody aware of it and counting each of those laps and what your attention and your presence into that moment was always, I felt like, somebody's keeping tabs on it. So it was, there was a lot that got done because people respected every moment that you were there, and their equipment was so good. And the first year that I was at Honda, we used, because I was on the 125, we used Ronnie Lachine's 1985 championship bike, which was a fully works bike, hand built, everything, frame, everything. And by the end of our, maybe it was 3 months that we were developing that 1986 125 that I raced. By the time we were ready to line up in Gainesville that year for the first race, that bike was probably better than the one Ronnie rode. And ours was, that was the first year of the production rules. So they were just bolt-on parts that we could put onto the standard bike, and it was pretty awesome. So that was the difference between coming from like a company that has very little money to the company who has the most and who has spent the most to be the best already. So it was hard. It was actually harder to go from Honda to Yamaha than it was easy to go from Husky to Honda, because you're like suddenly like, oh my God, it's like it's Christmas. Look at this stuff I got.
Upgrade.
So
big upgrade,
yeah.
So you obviously won the two 125 championships outdoor motocross. So what happened with the deal then? Did you just not offer another deal? What happened? I read something about that they were cutting their budgets and things like that, wasn't it? And then you ended up going to Yamaha. So how did that come about?
Yeah, there was a couple of things that made it more difficult for me to go back and stay with Honda. If they left the situation with the 125 class, 250 and 500, if that just had stayed, then it wouldn't have been such a, I would have probably stayed there at Honda. But after 87, I had won 2 championships in the 125, and they were changing the rules. So if you won 2, because of Supercross, there was 125 now and 250, and instead of just 250. And because of that, they wanted to put a cap on how long a rider could stay in that class and then be bumped up to the next class. So because I won 2 championships in a row, I was the first guy that got this thing where I can't go back to that class anymore. I can't even on a, you know, down the road go back to that class. So that made a difference to Honda already, but and budgets were changing as well. And so the team got smaller, so they'd have 2 riders again, instead of like there was 4 or 5 of us at Honda at that, you know, back when I was on the team. But yeah, I guess those 2 things made a big difference about it. And they had Rick Johnson already, so and he'd been proven already that he was gonna be the better guy in that class, in the 250 and Supercross, and 500. And then as a 125 rider, I wasn't available to do that class again, so they needed another 125 guy. So that's how that worked out, I believe.
What was it like going to Yamaha then? What was that bike like, going from the Honda?
The Yamaha had a great motor, and and the bike was really good, but it wasn't suited to me like the Honda was. So it was a tough transition to do that. I know that at that time I still wanted to get the bike, make the bike better, but it was tough to make the progress that I believe that, you know, I was looking for. But we started out strong, and then I had that's where my hand injury came in, the one that I was talking about, you know, when I ran when Hannah caught and beat me at Unadilla. I was healing from still. So that happened maybe after like the 5th race of 1988. I mean, we were in a good spot before that. And I hadn't won a race, a Supercross yet, but we were close. And then I hurt my hand at a test, like testing the bike, you know, like prior to the midway of that season. So that really put a strain on doing well on a Yamaha. You know, like it just I never could get my hand back, and I broke part of my hand that just it took forever to heal, and so I lost a bunch of time, and I became a little bit more distracted with other things, you know.
Okay. Someone put, actually, was the Yamaha reliable, and was the clutches weak? Someone's asked on the Yamaha.
No, I think the motors on the Yamahas were really good, actually. I didn't really think that the chassis was all that great, and the linkage on the Yamaha those years, they never were as good as the Honda and or the other 2 bikes, actually. The Yamaha didn't handle as good, and it was more engineering, I think, than it was motor parts and stuff. I think the motor was pretty strong, and that was the strength of that bike, was the motor.
Okay. I've got Michael Carey on Facebook's put, Mick, you let me use a pair of pants at the Daytona Supercross 84. My fork seals popped and trashed mine. Size 32 into your 28 was gnarly. Thanks, bro. Hope all is well and getting better. Got a bit of a memory there.
Yeah, well, cool. I'm glad I could help. Yeah, I don't remember that, but yeah, well, I'm glad I did something good. I hope they work for you.
Fair play, fair play. I got Dan Merrifield come on Facebook. He's put, I loved how Mickey looked on a Honda, and that convinced me to go red most of my racing life. That's pretty influential.
Yeah, the Hondas back at those days, I believe that I had that same what he just said. I heard from a lot of people later. I did feel better and was more suited to that bike than the Yamaha. And it's sad because the Yamaha really looked great, and I like Answer made great gear for me at that time, and so it was a great look, but I just had to ride it different, and I couldn't ride it up over the front of the bike like I could with the Honda. And even like John Vandenberg, he and I would talk when because he was at Yamaha too, and he told me that same thing once. He's like, I like the way that you rode that bike way better than you ride this bike. And I'm like, well, thanks for the confidence there. And now I'm like thinking that too. But yeah, he was right. You can't ride two bikes exactly the same. And the Honda Fit at that time, it was great. And even though the two were quite different from 86 to 87, those bikes required you to ride a little bit different. In 86, the bike was so strong, and you could almost ride it like a 250 versus a 125. The second year in 87, you had to wring that thing's neck and make it rev to make the power work, and it was hard to ride. But when you were in that little pocket, it was doing a lot. It was making a lot of horsepower and speed. But I think of all the bikes that I've raced in motocross, 86 probably was my favorite time because the chassis of that bike, the engineering of it, and how the bike had good grip, how Showa did the suspension, how the linkage works. You could get away with really, dangerous things with the bike because it was capable of absorbing and handle that stuff. I don't think it's ever been that good, for me, if I had to say what was the best year that those bikes worked at their very best, I would say then into 87 and plus maybe, that one early question about how the tracks were. There was more going on in 87 than in 86 as far as how the bikes maybe had a little more power, a little more speed, and the tracks became more a duplicate of a previous year or previous tracks. Now they'll just pick like, oh, well, we're going to do a section of the track like last year's Anaheim section that we did, and then we'll do something from Pennsylvania. Like they can pick different sections and build stuff. And for the motorcycle, like the motorcycle has like almost muscle memory like a person. So it just at the right RPM, it's able to do that section again and again. Back in 87, from 86, they were still making big new obstacles. Like they didn't have all those obstacles they have now, like a hot box. There's stuff that you could call this from the 90s and 2000s tracks they didn't have back in the 80s. So
Paul Dean's put one very cool character. Some nice comments coming in. Michael also put downside of the Supercross jumps were too peaked and there was no room for error.
They didn't used to put enough on the landing, so the takeoff would be big, but the landing would be, like takeoff was at 7 feet high, but the landing's at 2 or 3 foot high. So even if you jumped it, you were still going to land. You almost be better to flat land it, but then they started to add material for the landings, so you could actually have a better jump, a higher arc in the jump, and have a safer landing. It took time. That was the evolution of the Supercross triple jump per se. Would have been like that.
Gotta get the timing right on them. That's for sure. I've got Adam Pryor. He's come on and said hi, Mickey. He said, can you give a big shout out to Gav Richmond, who I know is a good mate of his. So Gav Richmond would be a fan. Can you give a shout out to Gav Richmond?
Hey, Gav. I'm surprised at so many people that with the internet, you get to catch up with a lot of different people, and still is amazing to me that people remember things that you think that you are the only one that will remember that, and a lot of times you even forget. So I appreciate when people send me messages that they remember stuff.
That's nice.
It's a small world, but it's good to have this chance to communicate with people that when in those years, in 1986, you didn't have a cell phone or even a laptop. It was still it was actually sort of a better world because of that for me at times. It's I guess it could be an ongoing argument, that it is what it is. It gets worse, it gets better. We evolve. We have way more responsibility for all the gadgets that we get. Technology now is so amazing. A 450. Back in 1986, if somebody told you that, in the 2000s you'll ride 450 four-stroke motocross bikes, and they do everything that a 500 can, but more or less like a manageable level, like you're on a 250, but it's still got as fast as that. And you'd have said, yeah, right. I'll see you at the four-stroke national, and we'll compare. But Yeah, it's a crazy world that we're in now.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's technology's it's come a long way.
it's just very interesting as well. It's like sort of all the guys from sort of 80s and 90s era and things like that. Obviously, you guys were always famous and well known anyway. It's almost like since social media and the internet and everything, you guys are definitely as famous, if not more famous, because we all still watch all the 80s and 90s now, and you're on YouTube and reminiscing about all these sort of things. It's almost like you guys are even more famous than what you actually were when you were famous.
Yeah, well, like I remember we would race, and if it did make it on TV, it was on at like 1 a.m. on a weird channel, and you'd try to. I mean, you'd try to see it, but it wasn't like it is now. And you would wait for cycle news to come out to see if you made the ride up. You know, they wrote about something, and you got a photo in the magazine. But yeah, that's way different now. Yeah, I do remember the value of getting cycle news and actually opening it up and reading it instead of like seeing all kinds of stuff that's been copied and pasted on Facebook about something. It meant a lot, and you learned a lot, and you were able to be a part of it a little bit more, or be able to understand it, or be, you would react to it because it touched your feelings and all. I'm not saying that doesn't happen now, but it was a lot more important to be in the magazine than I think it gets pushed over nowadays because it's oversaturated so badly that you don't get to experience that same way.
Even in the UK, I remember being excited to go when I was racing. You'd rush to go and get the paper on the Friday every week to see all your results and pictures, like you said. So you don't really get that now. Everything's like bang, hundreds, thousands of it everywhere, and you don't get that anticipation of going to get it and, like you said, reading it and looking through all the pictures and stuff as much now. But yeah, there's upsides and downsides to these things, aren't there? There's the current.
Well, I hope that when you guys have, when you have a race, you can have a chance to go and experience the race. And then, beyond this, the COVID thing, when you can go to the race and you can wait in line and park and find a good place, a vantage place to watch the race and smell the smells, the equipment's out and moving dirt and and all those different things to experience really are special. And I hope that people still get to enjoy that part of it, and smell we don't have. I remember going to Supercross when I was a kid before I even raced. And I could, when I was outside, before I even gone into the stadium, I could smell the premix, from the bikes, and I could hear that, from outside. And those are experiences. As a kid, you're just super excited, and then see to walk past a grown man with a helmet and goggles and a face mask and was like you're a kid looking at a gladiator. It was pretty special. And I hope that comes back soon. you know, with this thing. I know it's really a tough time to, and that is even more precious, I guess. So, it is, it's my memory from those years. And I was lucky. I lived in California in the 70s, and that's when I was introduced to racing, and it was pretty special, and it made people want to change their life, and that's what they wanted to do. That became what they wanted to do in life, and I got wrapped up in it, and it was pretty special.
Yeah, I think people are going to probably appreciate a lot of things once this COVID's hopefully gone sooner rather than later. That's for sure, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
Normality. Right, Scott Clark he's got a nice bike there in his profile. Does that look a 500 cows like that? Scott Clark. But how did you rate the European crowds to the States? The crowds.
I but in 91 and 92. And then the few that I didn't, that I was in the, before those years, Carlsbad, our America version, the European racers and races and the spectators and the support system was always special. And I raced in Belgium a couple times and in GP, and they were always more or less like ground zero, I guess, for motocross. So you've kind of felt that too, but Germany, there was I could hear because we slept at the track in RVs.
Yeah,
there was the music, dun, 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 all night long, and the people were, or to go to Erzberg, where they get to ride. Everybody's riding, but everybody's there, and it feels pretty good to be with so many happy people, because they're there for that reason. It's not it was always good because they were enthusiasts or they just loved it. And those crowds were big, and it's good.
On that subject, Tommy Reeve put, how did the GP ride alongside Trampers Parker come about in 91, and how does he remember the year, especially with Stanton coming in for the last round involving the Healy incident, etc.?
Well, the Stanton Healy round was in 86, or sorry, 91.
91, yeah.
And then 92 was my, I guess I got to know Trampas a little bit during that year. And I already knew Mike Healy. And I ended up sort of becoming friends with Trampas in 91, at the later part of 91. And then I can't remember exactly how, but we talked about it, and he offered to team up in 92, and that's what I did. And he actually came to America, and we did some riding, did maybe 4 or 5 Supercross races together before we went back to Europe. But there was some good times at the end of that year. I remember doing Japan that same the final round for the championship. And I did just hear and listen to Healy's Whiskey Throttle episode.
That,
So he brought it up a little bit, or they talked
yeah.
about it. Yeah. I was there when that happened, but I mean, I rode Yamaha, the new Yamaha, and to be honest, I think he might have been wrong about qualifying. I think I qualified fastest on the Yamaha, but I didn't finish either race. So I had a bike failure, carburetor or something. So I had a good starting pick, but I didn't. I actually crashed in the first turn because Strabos, his bike landed on me when I was going into the first turn. But I remember Mike was really fast, and between he and Stanton, they were pretty much up front the entire time. So I don't believe that on the track it was all that rough. Like the they weren't slamming each other on the track, but afterwards there was a little skirmish in the after the race was over, when they came into the podium area. And it seemed like, after it passed, and and both of them were fine. But that happened. I know that Healy really rode good that year, and the best that KTM I think could ever have wished for. He won races that he was just the best. He was the fastest guy. So he pretty much, between Puzar and Trampas, and there was a couple other super fast guys. I think Heron. But those are some moments that for us all being in Japan for the final Grand Prix, that was a pretty good year of races. I remember we were in a lot of different countries. We raced in U.S. that year too at Unadilla. It was a good time for those guys. And especially, like, I was sort of on my way over and down from my career. And Healy was at the peak. Healy was at its peak. Also Stanton. Maybe Puzar and Trampas were like right in their prime too. So there was always super fast guys. I never, while I was over there, I never really had like a straight up win in a GP. I won a few GPs when I was riding in America, and I had some good luck with motos here and there, but it was tough to come out on top. And I know in 91, Healy really had a couple of races that he DNF'd, and if he hadn't have DNF'd, he probably would have won the championship that year. So
very interesting time.
And I didn't even mention in the beginning, Everett was just coming in too. So and then his run came after that. So
I remember he got injured.
But I remember chasing him a few times, and he was just so fast. If if you could stay with him, it was an achievement, you know. But yeah, there's some great racers that I've been able to race with, and you know, it's difficult to always be able to be at the front, and there's a few guys that have been able to do that, and you know, whatever they did, it kept him there for a long time. And you know, it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, very cool. I got Hub Gerlins from Holland. He's put, what was it like to be a star? Was it always fun?
I don't know. We got to find someone that can answer that. But
you were definitely a star.
I think it's just a flash in the pan, pretty much. To be really good at something is a blessing, you know, and you know, in hindsight, I mean, at the time it might have felt like really special, but it is special to actually do it, not sit back on your laurels and be it. But like, to do it was really special, to ride such great bikes and to travel and have people want you to, you know, to pay you to do it is sort of insane, you know. But that's what seemed to make it possible. And I love to be in the helmet and not outside of it. It was a lot better to just be in it and experiencing it, and it was pretty special. There and those guys that are doing it now, you know, they're you know, I hope that they slow down and really take it in and be present with, you know, with it and with their spirit, you know, and it's your soul is in it, and if you really immerse yourself in it that way and cherish it, you know, because it won't last forever, and when it's gone, it's, you know, hey, you can sneak in here and there, but yeah, it's good to have a good memory, and I'm lucky because, you know, when I hurt myself recently, I didn't have a very good memory when I woke up, and you know, to wake up and not even know who you are is it's pretty special that you have. I'm glad and feel lucky that I was able to have a memory, and there's still some that's a little hazy, but I can remember a lot of great things, and not all of it feels like it was my memory, but the memories I do have that I know I lived and I felt are pretty special. So yeah,
we love them.
Be thankful for them, because they may not last forever either.
No,
so
exactly. Yeah, that's cool. Someone else has put what a hero. Then I got this. I like this question as well. I always ask these guys this. Christian Haverall. He's put, it was great to see him ride at Foxhills. I saw you ride there, was the time I saw you live as well. It was at Foxhills in the UK. That is actually where I live. That's my hometown, where Foxhills is. So I get to go there quite a bit. You obviously remember the big, massive hills, steep hills, hard track. Yeah. What he's put, great work, Lee, to get another MX legend. Did he like riding the Foxhill track in the UK?
I did. I had a knee problem, so I wasn't like, I was trying to use a knee brace, and because I couldn't ride without it. And yeah, so it wasn't like my best day, but I had a great time there. And in fact, I think I stayed at Jamie Dobbs' place a little bit, because he wasn't that far from there, if I'm right. But it was a great track, and it just felt, it just felt good to be there, and like people loved it, and I guess it would seem more like an American track than, even though it had a lot more natural terrain, it still had some good jumps. And
jumps,
and the start and that section before that you jump back and climb up next to the start was great. And I liked it there. I liked being, I like to be at that time. I'm in a place where I can talk to people, and I lived in Italy, so I had to learn some Italy, and I wish I'd have put a more serious effort in learning the language. I learned what I needed, and that was about it. And so in hindsight, take the chances that you get, and reach for as much as you can out of those. And like I said earlier, it would be nice I could take this head back to when I was 17. I'd do it in an instant. But
I got Scott Joyner. He's come on. He's a good rider in the UK. He's put, I'll try and write that better. But does Mickey think that due to all the social media and the other ways of getting your image stroke brand out there, do you think it's affecting possible sponsorship, like Geico leaving?
I don't really know if that's I think that a lot of people get a lot of coverage with the internet, and with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that. People get a lot more coverage. I mean, if you look at Brian Deegan, for example, he's made it work incredibly well. And it's a job within a, you got to work at that quite a bit. I don't know. I have no idea what people, what companies stand to benefit the most. But if you're not making big impressions on those, on Facebook, Twitter, all those different things, you're not reaching that many people anymore. I mean, that's probably the most busy place there is now. But in the same time, I mean, if you're really good at that and you're wasting all your time there, how good can you be out there in the fields? Well, you don't have any time to do that. So you need a team of people to do that for you, I guess. But that's how they're selling stuff now. So you gotta make that work nowadays.
Yep, for sure. I've got no name on this one, but someone's put, Mickey, can you bust a Superman seat grab? And is it right tricks are for dough and corners are for show?
Well, yeah, the second part, that's part of the show. Yeah. I don't know if I could ever do a Superman seat grab. I don't know if I've ever tried one of those, but I used to do quite a bit of freestyling in my day. In fact, I worked on the Nuclear Cowboy show and Tony Hawk, the Boom Boom Huck Jam. I did a couple of those. I did the first few X Games freestyle events. I built the first 2 years. I built the courses, and I didn't ride in them, but I was building, and I helped. Yeah, I helped with a lot of different things in the early years of freestyle events.
Do you enjoy that?
Warp Tour, and the big one was the Nuclear Cowboys, and it was a theatrical storytelling show with motorcycles, and we had trials, we had FMX, we had quads. I think one year we even had a snowmobile for a little while, and dancers, and we had the monks. The Chinese are drawing a blank right now, but we had all kinds of different things in those shows, and the Nuclear Cowboys was a 5-year thing that I worked on with Feld, and yeah, it was amazing. I learned how to do a lot of different things there, and putting on a show and choreographing a show, 2 times a week, like 2 nights in a week, for the first few months of the year, was good for quite a few years. Yeah, I got to do that too. I didn't just ride. I did a lot of the technical stuff, and I got to write a couple shows, and that was amazing. Yeah, I didn't actually, I didn't want to call it the Nuclear Cowboys, but I didn't own the show, so that's what we went with. But I think I liked the idea of a show that was called the Half Machine, and we didn't go with that. But it was pretty amazing. Yeah.
When
we never went to Europe with it, but we, maybe it would have went there eventually. And I know Pastrana's still doing shows. I mean, he was before this COVID. Maybe it'll get back to that. There were good shows. It was a good show.
When I was looking sort of through your career in general, it's like you've literally sort of your experiences are massive. Like everything you've been involved with, like you said, like the freestyle, obviously the Supercross and motocross, the Supermoto, the road racing, and the cycling. You've sort of pretty much done everything there was to do. Very cool.
Yeah, I did get to do quite a few different things. I did ride Baja one year. I was on a winning team, but it wasn't like in the premier motorcycle class. It was like the 250 class. But we were pretty good. I got to ride. I think I did a little over 200 miles, and maybe a little bit more. I can't remember, but that was an experience. And I feel I did pretty good. I think when I got on the bike, we were like 30th in the position, and then a couple 150 miles, maybe it was like 260 miles is what I rode. And it was just going to be getting dark when I handed the bike off. And I think we were 6th place at that point, and I was right behind somebody, that was on like maybe the KTM team at that time. They were just in front of us. So I did a good ride, and I didn't get hurt. I had like that race is like 260 miles is like a lifetime of things happen. You're passing cars that are on the track that are like driving across the course, and horses, and there's like the military guys would stop you to ask you to give them something, like you had something with you, and then after, you know, they stand there with guns, and you ride up and you just wave and ride away, and you can feel the hair on your neck like going, I hope I don't get shot in the back, you know, like there's just really some crazy stuff went on there. I did the Pikes Peak, and the first year I won the motorcycle class in the 750 class, but I did it on a Supermoto bike, and it wasn't all paved that year in 2005, and I did the time of like a little over 12 minutes, and I set the record for motorcycles that year. And since then, every year they would add more pavement. And then the next year I got second, and I was faster than the year before, but I was like 2 seconds or a second slower than the guy that won, and he had the record. Years later, when it became all pavement, we rode road bikes and 1200cc, like super bikes pretty much. But they were, you know, I rode with Ducati quite a few times, like 4 times. And some other teams, Spider Grips and Faulkner and Livingston were the team that I rode for a couple times. And I really loved that. It was scary as hell, and it's a time trial. It's 12 miles of a mountain road from a little over 9,000 feet high at the start. You would finish at like 14,000, and a lot of things to remember and to memorize on that course. And a lot of it was real similar to other sections, so it was hard to remember. I raced there with great faith in myself and in God that I could ride at my limit without having memorized something and gone off the road, or just having a flat tire. There's places that you just can't. If you crash, you're pretty much, that might be the last crash you ever have. So. And I lost a couple friends up there that sort of made it seem, you know, like a waste of time. Like, why should I even go and do that again? But it is such an amazing thing to do and to ride that way on that road. That it kept making you want to come back and do it again and try to go faster. And now they don't even have the motorcycle class now, because they're worried that someone else will be killed. So there's some things that, you know, I know that, like, you guys have the Isle of Man and those events even though they're amazing, they're still the most dangerous ones to do. But my memories of Pikes Peak are pretty special, and especially since some of the people that I have them with, Carlin Dunn was killed, and it's great to remember all those moments that you have, because they're special. And so I've got a lot of memories from a lot of events, that a lot of opportunities to do events and race that are really special. So yeah.
Very cool to talk about them, that's for sure, and talk about these memories. Mick Nurse put, hiya Mickey, who in the UK did you rate back in the day, or even look up to, or even riders who have made a big impression on you over the years worldwide? You sort of mentioned about Rob Herring, you rated.
Yeah. Well, I knew Kurt Nicole.
Kurt Nicole, yeah.
And I and during some of the Supermoto racing he was part of KTM. So he was actually, sometimes I raced against him, but he was also sort of sponsoring me too, or our team, but with bikes and equipment. Pikes Peak was one of those things that I got some support from Kurt to have an LC4 bike, a motor there. So, and Jamie Daub, actually, I retired in 92, and then I believe it was 95. I can't remember how we started talking, but Jamie offered me his bike, said, just come and get it, just take it. And I ended up doing a vet, like I was probably 30 or maybe even 31. And so I rode his bike and did the vet championship race. And he just kept pushing on me, go ride. So he started me riding again. And then I might've used his bike to film one of those Crusty Demons things, that I caught up with. But those are the few. Kurt and Jamie. Man, there's another guy that I knew in Supermoto more recently.
Okay.
He won a like a world Supermoto race in the last 4 or so years, but he's an English guy, and he came over to America, and I raced against him a couple times, but he was a great guy, and I'm sorry, my head does this to me sometimes. It's like I know it, but I can't pull it up. So
maybe someone will mention it in a minute. They normally come up with things like that. Scott Clark put, what a fantastic, chilled, polite gentleman. Thanks, Mickey. It's very nice.
You're welcome.
James Stenner put, I'm loving the fact that you've still got the hair, Mickey.
This is the COVID shutdown hair. I just decided I would just let it grow again otherwise you can't even go to a barber at certain times right now. Hey, I gotta take a small little, like a 20-second break. So don't go anywhere, okay?
No problem. No worries. So is that see Christian Hatherall's just put Christian Iden? Is that the who's Mickey's talking about? I haven't really followed the Supermoto, so I don't really know that side too well. Just want to look down a few of your questions. I've got that one in. James said about the hair. I've got Anthony Mitchell YouTube. I'll ask him about that. Anthony, hi Mickey, great to see you recovered from accident. Ricky Johnson always rated you. I'll ask that. Wayne Davis on YouTube. How's it going, Wayne? Hi Lee. What does Mickey think about his lack of Americans and GPs? Now I'll get that in. There's a few of you guys there. Look, hi Mickey D. It's not that I've not clicked the link before you come in, so I can't see your profile. So basically, people, what happens is that when you go into the live link, there's like a link on the actual status, and if you click on it, it will allow your profile to be seen, so I can see who's saying what. So there you go. Look, you can't see that.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Right, I've just got an Anthony Mitchell on YouTube has put, hi Mickey, great to see you recovered from your accident. Ricky Johnson always rated you very highly. Did this put extra pressure on you, and was you disappointed not to represent the USA in the MX Nations? We sort of touched on that a little bit earlier.
Well, yeah, I think highly of Rick too. I got to ride with Rick a bunch. I still see him on occasion.
Yeah.
I saw him at the start line in Baja, maybe like a couple years ago. And that was the last time I saw him in person, but I know that he just he and his wife just had their anniversary. So yeah, he's been involved in all kinds of stuff as well, you know, like with the cars and the trucks and doing all kinds of different things. I do on occasion. I am reminded that I didn't get to be on the Trophy of Nations team, and I would have loved to have been, especially in my prime. I didn't get to do that many things outside of what was going on in America, or to go to Paris or to Japan. We used to get to go to Japan and do a Supercross there in the 80s, and you know, it's too bad they don't do that now. But hell, maybe they'll put it on the Supercross schedule eventually, so you'll have a Japanese round. But I don't. I guess I don't feel. You know, like that bad about it. I mean, I don't hold it as, you know, I got screwed. You know, like gosh, you know, I didn't get to do this. But it's just one of those things. Like, man, I wish I would have been able to do that. And you know what they say, you know, when things seem like this, too bad. That's what they say. So I could say that to myself.
Oh, Mr. Dobb's been on, because I was looking and I couldn't see the name because it wasn't registered, and it put great times with Mickey from Jamie Dobb. So Jamie's been on live as well.
Yeah. I have little glimpses with times, but Jamie was always a good guy to me, took care of me while I was there. And I hope I did the same with him in the US. But I know that in 91, he was part of that team too, or that series where he could win in that class, because he was really strong. And man, there was just so many great racers that year. I think I want to say Bob Moore, myself, Mike Healy, and Trampus. So those were the four main. No, wait, Bader Manet was in there too.
Bader Manet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was at least 5 of us Americans, and then a lot of the Europeans were great racers, you know. And I know they still had the 500 class at that time, so kind of I don't have a good memory of who was riding that too, but yeah, it was a pretty big year for GPs that year.
I've got a couple of suggestions on the Supermoto. So I've got someone put Christian Iden. Is that maybe one? And someone also mentioned, I did see it down here somewhere. Who did Supermoto? Was it Win Stanley?
Win Stanley, that's it. Yep.
Matt Win
Yeah.
Stanley. Yeah.
Yeah.
His dad
I
runs a
always thought,
motocross track over here now. Yeah.
yeah. He was kind of quiet. I mean, well,
Okay.
we didn't talk that much, but I always thought he was great. He was a great racer, but and probably a better Supermoto rider than I was. I was able to beat him at some race that was in Reno, and he was right behind me the entire time, and I think he was just like, I better not beat him. It's on his place, you know. So maybe he cut me some slack, but yeah, those are the 3 main British riders that I knew, and then also to come to that Farley Castle race sounds like an amazing thing to do. So maybe I will be able to do that someday, but I gotta get back on the bike before I commit to something like that. I think I will be able to ride around a little bit at Moreau. So that's one thing. I think it's pretty much you better have your shit together to go to Farley Castle and race, because you're going to race a bunch of guys that are awesome racers. So yeah,
Fingers crossed then. We'll see how that goes. Oh, Mickey's gone. Oh, disappeared there. I think we might have lost him. Oh, we lost him. I got the... Got no sound on your end. Don't know if you can hear me. Can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, let me take you out of the screen and then I'll put you back in, see if that makes a difference. Hold on. Let's try. What does that do? Does that change anything? Is there any option on yours, Mickey, to say like unmute, maybe? There might be an option to say unmute yourself or something, potentially. Hello? Can you hear me now? Don't know what's happened there then. Maybe I can, how can I do that? I can maybe resend you the link and come back in. Maybe that would make a difference. I'll resend you the link, Mickey. We'll try that. Okay. All right, let's take him out a minute. Not kicking Mickey out. I'm just going to go on my phone and try to, right, here we go. Oh, open my phone. Right. 2 seconds, people. Just going to get to go on my Facebook as well and send the link to Mickey. Right, let's try this. Let's go back on that. There we go. Let's try. Sorry about that, people. Let me just trying to resend the link back to Mickey and hopefully get him back on and get his volume and stuff going. Hopefully he gets that. And see if that goes back through. Sorry about that. Hopefully it'll come back on okay. Fingers crossed. Thanks for all your questions, people. I'm just looking down them now. Please come to Farley here. What's going on, GPs? Donny Smith. Yeah, I remember Donny Smith. What a great rider he was. Hopefully, Mickey will be able to come back on. So it was Matt Winstanley. I know obviously his dad, it's Ken Winstanley in, I believe. He's come on a couple of times. He's got his own track in the UK, practice track, I'm pretty sure. And I remember he did a series, didn't he? Was it KWS or something like that in the UK? He did a series, brought top riders over in. Hopefully Mickey's going to get this. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed he's going to get this. Hopefully we're going to get him back. Oh, here we go. I can see him. Let's add him in and fingers crossed. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes,
Okay.
we are.
All
Back
right.
on.
Thank you. My beautiful Brenda has just fixed everything. So
thank you, Brenda.
Hello. How are
Thank
you?
you very good. Thank you. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I needed her to save me.
Yeah.
And
we
I
all
got
need
like
someone
a
to
call
save
or
us.
something, and it put us into a problem.
Right, let's get some pictures up. Get the people going through some pictures. Right, let's have a look. Can you see on the screen all right?
Oh yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That picture is from it's 85, and it looks like there was a national race that was outside of Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was there. But yeah, good style.
Yeah, very.
Open face helmet.
Yeah.
And this picture is from a guy had taken that year's Yamaha from 1988.
Yep.
And did a rebuild of this old bike, and I went out with David Pingree, and we rode the bike and took some photos, and Answer made some old gear or some new gear in the old
it looks the same
logos
sort of
and everything.
Yeah. It sort of must be sort of based on that era when you was at Yamaha. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Sort of thing that you'd look like at Farley if you come. I'm sure someone would hook you up. Is that let's have a look at this one. Was that number something sort of is that something you really liked, that number? Because I was going to ask you a question about numbers. I know a lot of the times it was to do where you finished in championships and that sort of thing, but was there any specific number that you liked? And was there a reason? Or I remember you in the Yamaha.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I can hear you better now.
Okay.
Yeah, that that bike had a number 6 that was made like that because my mechanic Ron Heben at Yamaha had made that himself, and it made an impression on a lot of people. So we just kept that number, and our association, the AMA, they approved it. So we kind of, I don't know, it was more like a symbol of, like we actually had, yeah, there you go. It was our identity, after he did that, we made that as our stamp on that particular year, and the look, and that stuff there. That was Eddie Cole was the owner of Answer, and that was a good moment for myself and for that gear. It made a big impression. I think a lot of people use that stuff, and it was pretty good. And basically at that time, that was like in the middle of the 80s, and in America, especially in California, the music industry and the images of different sports or musicians, it was that those colors and that style was kind of popular.
So I read that you were quite friendly with all the Motley Crue, wasn't it?
Well, I did get to know Tommy Lee pretty well, and he was definitely a motorcycle fan. I know that through Dave Arnold, actually, I got connected to him, and then we started to see him at the races, and he was definitely a super fun guy, like somebody I would hang out with, regardless whether it was about motorcycles or music or whatever. And I was a Motley Crue fan, and I liked that music, so I kind of was lucky to connect, because I got to go to a lot of shows, and did a lot of things with Tommy and then I know that he had this new house up in LA area, and it was a gated community, and there wasn't that many people moved in yet that had moved in, bought a lot, and built a big giant house. And I went up there and took a couple other riders, and we unloaded, and for 2 days we made a track in this grass hilly area in that community, and it was super fun, and nobody really complained, at least not while I was there, and he never really told me if anybody got mad at him. But there was a beautiful dirt track weaving around on the green hills outside his particular lot. And shoot, we even did a little supermoto a little bit, a little paved section into dirt. So so I got to do a lot of riding and stuff with Tommy, and he came in. Last time I saw him, he had come to one of the Nuclear Cowboy shows, and we got to hang out for a little bit. But it was was a sort of a lull in their time because of some let's just say that some of the distractions in their world put a couple of their guys on arrest, so we had a lot of time to ride dirt bikes and stuff. And he did come to quite a few shows, to a few races. I went to a few of his shows.
Yeah, it says here on this little clip in here, it says Micky helps Tommy with his riding and Tommy helps Micky with his drumming.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he rode better than I played drums. So, yeah,
I got so many cool pictures of you on the Honda as well. Let's have a look. There's a nice one.
Yeah, that was '87, and yeah, that Troy Lee helmet looks great. I know that gear. I didn't really like to be wearing that gear, but Honda had their own riding gear, and I think that year I was riding with Malcolm Smith, and I actually signed a contract for that year with Malcolm, and it ended up being that Honda really wanted me to be in their gear, so that's what I ended up having to do. But we made the best of it, and Troy Lee always painted my helmet since like '83, I think was the first one, maybe even before that. But yeah,
my daughter just wants to come in a second. You all right, Poppy? Do you want to come in quickly and say hello to Micky? Come on in. Let me just take the photo down. There's Poppy. Say hello to Micky.
Hi.
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 There you go.
How are you?
Want to be on a live interview, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're all good.
Why are you taking so long?
I won't be long. All right.
Wait for you. My iPad's gonna die.
All right. We can come and charge it in a minute. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Thank you. Bless her. Bless her. You know what the kids are like? She said to me, "I'd love to be on your live video, Dad."
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad.
I said, come on in. You can meet a legend.
I have cats.
Right.
And then I'm glad that Brenda got to be on, because without Brenda, like this whole last year would be even this conversation with you now. When I woke up out of the coma, I couldn't really even speak in sentences, and it took a while. And with her help, I've been able to pretty much come all the way back to at least where I was, and
that's nice.
And amazingly inside, as we talked about earlier, to at this time in life, it's important to experience and have a full awareness of everything that's going on. And without her, I would pretty much be lost, and so we haven't been apart for very long, like maybe 4 days is the maximum that we've been apart. And in the beginning, I'm trying to write a new book. I did write a book too, and I didn't even bring that up, and it's called The Legends of the Road, and I'll get you a copy.
That'd be really cool.
But it was about the cycling event that I did with that's it. That's the book cover.
Did my homework, see?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That was an amazing adventure, and I'm so glad that I wrote the book, and it became a little bit bigger than the story is pretty much 60% of it is the cycling event
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of reflection.
Yeah.
And then the second half is from Pikes Peak. That same year, I went and did the Pikes Peak race right after finishing the Race Across America.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a great experience. And I ended up self-publishing a book, and I actually had a publisher for a bit, but it wasn't gonna come out right if I it would have been like they made money or I made money by doing this book together. So it was like, well, I might as well just do it all myself and figure out how to do it, because I'll probably do another. And so now I'm writing another one, and
oh, right, interesting.
it's just it's a difficult thing to write a book, period. But to write one at the same time that you're recovering from a head injury is maybe even harder than the first one. So, but to share with everybody that is reading it, or a racer or somebody that has had a head injury, it will have, it'll cover a lot of different things that I've done and have helped. I have been helped to do, or to get support, financial as well as just people that will give you time and information to learn about all the things that you can do to recover from a head injury. And the military in the United States have had to deal with a lot of that. So our education on how to treat people and how to recover from such injuries, which happen in all kinds of different sports, but in motocross racing happens, quite a bit more. There are ways to get help and to recover. So, and if you just had seen me like the first few months after I had recovered, or I woke up out of the coma, it would be, you would be pleased that, okay, you can have a conversation with me now. But back then it would have been, a stretch for me to just have a conversation. So, that's the next one.
So it's progressed a long way.
Yeah. Yes, it has. I think in the beginning you asked me, I don't know if you asked me to be on this, but I might have said no back then. And this was, I did the Whiskey Throttle before I was injured. So that was the last conversation I've done. I think I touched a little bit on one of the light therapy system in that company that is helping me, something that I use every day. I did one talk with him more recently, but that's been it. I haven't been able to do many things like this. And with the COVID shutdown, I don't get out much. And that's changed. And my fitness is getting better, and I'm thinking about adding another project on the bicycle, and that would that's a possibility.
Is that to like for another goal? Yes.
Something to work for, and I haven't had anything like that, mostly it's just, you know, like I got every week I got 2 appointments to do therapy, you know, and I have the cognitive. It's almost like being a third grader, you know. You gotta. I have to do math and you know, English, and I have to read and remember stuff and write stuff down, and that type of exercise is. I'm still doing it, you know, and it's some days I just totally suck, and it's frustrating. But other days you're like, it's no problem.
Yeah, it's got. I was just going to bring up the ones from the. So is that the one when you rode the number 43 on it?
Yes, that's 86, and that race, that is that one right there is that same year, and that one's in California. It's at Sacramento. The prior one was Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. That's Pennsylvania, Mount Morris. And I think I won that one, but the one in Sacramento, I won the first moto, and then that race turned into I had a battle with a guy named Keith Bowen, and Keith and I took turns running into each other until we both crashed, and I got up before he did, so I beat him. And I have a photo of us afterwards, smiling and patting each other on the back, which I don't think we were feeling that on the inside, but on the outside we acted like it was a good race. Did I lose you? Uh-oh. Huh.
We in, Mickey. What happened there?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Don't know what happened there.
Are you there?
Yeah, it must have been an internet thing. I don't know.
Huh.
It's a bit of a weird one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know how long my my computer's gonna keep running here. So
that's all right. We're gonna definitely have to do a part 2.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll definitely have to do a part 2. Still got a lot to talk about. So many more pictures, questions. I'll just put up a couple more pictures before we go, and then we'll have to do another one. That's quite a cool one there. Let's have a look. I think is that Paris-Bercy?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm guessing that oh boy, I'm like really out of hey Brenda, can you come in here for a second? That is from Bercy, and I'm guessing that it was that year 87 in in the winter.
Yeah.
It seems like almost out of power. It's like 5%.
Yeah, well, it's either this or that.
Oh, I'll take this. It's not it?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Are you still with me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Fine, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like that year.
Yeah.
Because I'm still in answer.
Oh, yeah.
I had a different, I think
On the
that
helmet,
year
yeah.
I had a bunch of cool gear. I can see
Yeah.
that hand in the background that they introduced.
Yeah.
Maybe Bale and or
Oh, yeah, I
Rick
remember all
Johnson
them
or
crazy ones. Some crazy old
Um,
introductions. I like this helmet. This is cool.
Oh yeah, that's Troy Lee.
Mm.
Unadilla had a bunch of fans, and they I think they made shirts and had signs that basically said that, but that was kind of their statement. And then they had the Hill People, and then they had great more or less European style fans for Unadilla, because that was where our we had national races there, but we also had the MXGP there. And it was a really great track. But their saying got put on my helmet, and I don't know that it was my idea or it was Troy's idea, but yeah, that was just a helmet for Unadilla. And Troy used to paint special helmets for guys, and I know he still does, but
It's very cool.
Yeah, multiple times a year you would have a special helmet.
That's pretty cool for one event. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, one event.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Where's this one? This is a cool picture.
And that one is the Meadowlands. Supercross is probably practice. And yeah, the jump looks like you're actually going to be turning sharp to the left right when you land, and why the front wheels
turning already
pointing the other way, I have no idea, but maybe it's in hope that I'll get the rear to come around. But yeah, it's a good picture. Reminds me of Bailey.
Yeah.
Oh, this was 92 when Trampus and I rode a couple Supercrosses, and that looks like practice there too, because there's nobody in the seats yet. But yeah, we had to wear this UFO clothing and then that Boeri helmet.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow. Yeah. Because I think I got one of you in the GP with it on there.
Yeah, and that's at Holland.
Is it Valkenswagen maybe? Might be wrong.
I don't know who that is behind me. Maybe that's Bob Moore.
Yeah, it's Chesterfield brothers, isn't it? Bob Moore, Schmidt. Was he in 92?
Yeah, that would be 92, and wherever we had the first race, and I don't think it was Belgium. I think it was Holland. Maybe it was Belgium.
But it's at I know they used to do that quite a bit.
Nations there one time.
Mm.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's very sandy.
I remember the first race, I got a really good start, and Vervoets got he was in the front, and I wasn't gonna beat him. So, but I hung in there, and Stefan Everett on a Suzuki passed me and was going so hard and so fast, but he washed out and went down. And a little bit later in the I was probably hanging in there about fourth.
Yeah.
And later in the race, Everett's passed me another time. Like, he got up and he was
coming again.
He was that's how fast he was there.
Yeah.
He passed me later in the race, and then I ended up having to crash and didn't even finish. But yeah, that was the first Grand Prix when I was with Trampus's team. And we did okay. But in the sand, the European guys were so good in the sand and fast that I think in my memory, I was like maybe 13th pick to the line. And I was probably 4.5 seconds a lap slower than Bravoitz, who was the fastest qualifier. And I was like, 4.5 seconds a lap. And I was the fastest American. Yeah. So, and it was.
That guys were crazy fast in the sand, weren't they? They were crazy fast in the sand. The Dutch riders and the Belgian riders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, there.
Yeah. And that picture it's another Troy Lee helmet. I think he went through a period where he was using feathers like that.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And I couldn't tell you what year this is, but it was when I was retired, and there was a race in Mexico that was a Supercross. And I remember that Robbie Renard won the race. And if he didn't, maybe Matasevich did, but I borrowed a bike, and the bike was a good bike, but my mechanic that worked on it, turns out that he started a company called RG3 and was a suspension guy. Rob Hendrickson was his name. And when we were on the start line, he holds up these two brake pads. He goes, well, this is what was going to be in the rear brake pad, or the rear brake on the disc, but they just fell off. So you don't have a rear brake. So I didn't have a rear brake that day. In the main. In the heat race, they were there, but in the main, I had no rear brake.
Jesus, he's got a nice one like
that. 84. That's either Belgium or France.
Yeah.
Grand Prix of 91. And I'm looking at it and thinking that the hand guards say that it's Belgium.
Could be that, yeah.
Because there was some rocks there, and I had a good moto there, and I had a race long battle with Puzar, and I got the best of him, but wasn't easy.
He was very good.
And it was for like third place in the moto.
This is very cool. I like this.
This is the old. This is in Sturgis, and it's the Supermoto race that is in downtown Sturgis. and that's called the Knuckle in the background. It's this big bar, diner place, pizza place, and the racetrack went around it. Some of it on pavement, and then the dirt section was on one side of the Knuckle. It's a good place.
Looks interesting.
Yeah, that was I couldn't tell you what year that was, but
Looks some proper blue groove over that jump, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little blue groove in that.
Definitely.
I think I'm floating it a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like both wheels are off the ground actually.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Just bumped over it. And this, I just put this picture back up. This is me in the front, and Carlin Dunn is behind me.
Yep.
And Carlin Dunn and I and Gary and Greg Tracy, the four of us were a part of a group that was called Ducati put together four of us to be the guides for all the motorcycle racers at Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
This is in the lower section of the track, which is like a road course. And we had ridden with the practice sessions. Quadra Alpina was what the name of our group was. And we were the guides of the racers, and we rode with them for 4 days during the practice sessions. And the last day was Friday, and it was a qualifying for all the motorcycle.
Oh, we've lost me. Oh.
Do a run up the hill together, me and Carlin. And we caught up to the Tracy brothers, and we were going pretty fast. So yeah, it was the last time I rode with Carlin, and Carlin ended up getting killed 2 years ago at the top.
Lost Mick.
That's
lost
a special
for a second. Oh, we just lost you there. You come back on?
Are you there?
I can hear you, but can't see nothing. It's gone blank for some reason.
Yeah, I don't mind, Brenda.
See, all these mod cons are not always great, are they, Mickey?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You can hear me though.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Yeah. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
I can see it.
Oh, right, cool. We just can't see you.
Like I'm darked out, but
for some reason, yeah. That's a cool
rival. Picture. Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's
What's that? Ricky Johnson.
I'm not sure where that is, but it's 88. Wardy, Lachine, Rick Johnson, Jeff Stanton. Jeff and I were teammates that year in 88. And well, it looks like I have a good start.
Yes.
Yeah, that looks good.
It does look
good. I don't know how it ended, but yeah, that was good.
There's you and Puzar.
Yeah. I don't know where that one is either, but I always like to race with Puzar. He was intense and just a hard riding guy. You weren't going to beat him because he was in like unfit. He was fit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A different one as well. Is that the Husaberg?
that's a 4-stroke
Oh,
national. And I did a couple of those with Husaberg, and Mike Young was the other rider that maybe got me the sponsorship thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But and that in the back is oh, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but he's a Olson, Al Olson, and he's a longtime guy that I knew from local races because he raced and in the open class. So
right.
as an amateur, I probably raced against him and learned from him.
Mm.
But he was a great guy, and he was my mechanic that day.
Right, okay, yeah. Hence the cheering on.
The Husaberg. This one is from Japan, I think.
All right.
And I'm with David Bailey,
Mm-hmm.
and Chris Haynes is the guy behind me. He was my mechanic. And then Hannah and Wardy next to Hannah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I did pretty good in this race. I was right behind David at the finish. But it's weird because when you're in that time, even though I was riding right behind him and I could probably have passed him, I was more a fan than a racer at that time. So I was like, well, I could have passed him, but I might have bumped him, and it would have ended badly for both of us. Or I was more a fan.
Too much
instead of
respect
like, I want to take that spot.
yeah. You'd be like, I can't bump him.
Yeah. Yeah, we did some answer ads, and I think I did. I may have done 2 of them, but I know I did this one, and so I did a lot of the war stuff that I just wore their stuff, and the photo shoot, and yeah. You were a pretty girl, though. I got to do a invitational hill climb with a couple other pro motocross racers, and the Petersons, who they were the great, Kerry Peterson was the multi-time national hill climb champion. He had a racing team, and his sons, Rob and Brett, were racers, and we rode one of their 450s, and we had a I can't remember what they called it, but it was like they put a little purse up, and we raced, or we battled to win, and I actually won. So I took the $500, and I needed it. So
that's good then.
Yeah, but it was it's fun. Those things were fun. And this one is Pikes Peak during 2000. I want to say 2007, but I'm wrong. 2013, and
very, very nice picture.
Yeah, this is 2013. This is in the morning. You would practice, and this is. It looks to me like it's morning,
Sounds nice,
and you have the weirdest training and practice schedule there, where you go up in the morning in your RV from your hotels at like 3 a.m, and then you find your spot, park, and wait for the sun to come up enough to where you can start practicing. Because at 9 o'clock in the morning, they shut the practice down and they open up to tourists for the rest of the day. So you practice between sunlight to 9 in the morning, and that's it. And then you have to get off the road. And so you test tires, you set your bike to where it works really good at temperatures that are really cold. And then for the race day, you may race in the middle of the day and it'll be another 20 to 40 degrees warmer than when you set your bike and picked your tires to work the best when it was that cold earlier.
Yeah,
so
big difference.
It's like a balancing or juggling cats or something. You just never know what you're gonna get.
There's a nice one. Poster.
Yeah. That was the race team that All Access Racing was a company that I worked for, and I still work for now.
Right.
Yeah. They're a great company. They do, like if you watch those shows like American Idol or The Voice,
Yeah.
they build the entire set. If you go see your favorite musician at their concert, there's a good chance that they built the stage and they tour them.
Okay.
The jobs that I do with them are repeating either festivals or sports things like the Super Bowl halftime show. They do that. I do some things with the pro baseball and football, Pac-12, other sports. They do build some of the the Supercross gear that you see during Supercross. The podium and the interaction area that is where the post race interviews are and stuff like that.
I got one. This is a nice one on the front of the magazine.
Yeah, I'll beat them bad. Yeah, you know what? It wasn't long after doing this is 88, and it wasn't long after being in Daytona doing this Supercross that I had crashed and broke my hand.
I remember,
so this was still in my quest to win my first race for them that Supercross season, and I'm guessing this is about, back then Daytona was like maybe the 5th or 6th round of Supercross, so it's about then. Laura took this photo. I know it's in Italy somewhere, probably, or
What's this?
Maybe it was like Bologna or something. And then this was put together by a great company called Road to Recovery that has been instrumental in safety and post-injury care for the entire motocross world.
Yeah.
I know they're not maybe worldwide, but within America, all of the different things that they do are meant to be there for people that are injured, that are in a, like the injury I just had. I worked with them because they were our sponsor to do the Race Across America in 2017 with David Bailey, Jeff Ward, and Doug Henry. Because of David and Doug, it made really great sense to them to attach themselves to what we were doing and create a way to raise money to reinvest into those cases of people that were injured. And then, thank God they were there to help me, because without their help, I'd still be looking at a lot of costs, and it just wouldn't have worked out for me without their help, and I'll always owe them, in my opinion. I feel like they're, and I hope I can somehow repay them, but it is there's companies like this. I don't know what they have in Europe, but I would guess that it's something similar, and they're just a great company to be a part of everything that's going on in two wheels here and other sports.
I think Jamie Dobbs doing that in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm sorry I left him out of it, but I know that he is well familiar with it. And then Jimmy Button. I don't know if you had Jimmy before, but
I did. Yeah.
I'm sure that he shared more than anybody, and definitely more than I can about it. But yeah, they were also a very huge part of our Race Across America, and the Legends of the Road. They supported that, and they were great.
Yeah, I think Jamie Dobbs said to me not recently when he did his interview, he said that he's got his charity number and everything now for the UK Road to Recovery. So yeah, they're it's all going good for them. So fair play. There's that one.
Yeah, this was a fun night that we had a Supermoto race in where they do Speedway in Orange County. They had an off-road event that Robbie Gordon put on, and that's me on the left, and then Chris Fillmore, and forgive me, but I can't remember the guy on the right, even though he was a young kid that was into Supermoto. But Fillmore and I have known each other since I started doing Supermoto, and he's part of KTM now. He was a road racer and was a really good Supermoto racer, and I beat him this day, but, but most of the time he was beating me. So it was a fun night, and yeah, it was. I can tell that we're laughing and having fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, by the way,
Yep.
Chris also was racing at Pikes Peak, and he no longer has the overall fastest record, but he's won in like the 750 and the unlimited at Pikes Peak, and had a great. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube.
Cool.
It was awesome.
It's on there, is it? It's on there. Ah, interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. He rode up there on the KTM, and they had a great bike, and it was really fast, but scary fast in that place. But because of the way that he has experience from Supermoto and road racing, it's kind of both. You like at Pikes Peak, you're sliding. It's a rough road. It's not smooth, and you know the paint is paint, not grippy paint like you would get on a road course. It's slick, and if you hit it, or the dirt and all the stuff that's out there, it's something. So he was pretty much, he's made for it, that place. And he had just won, you know, and just had finished when Carlin, and he knew Carlin as well. So he was there when Carlin had his accident.
Oh, yeah.
And this picture
Yep.
is, I'm not sure, but I think this is like probably when I was riding with Brenda, but this might be, no, this is from the Levi Gran Fondo that is in this is my hometown where what you're looking at. This is where I ride my bike even now. And it's, that's recent. That looks fairly recent, like maybe a couple years. This is right before I had my accident, maybe.
So obviously at the moment you don't really know where you can get on a bike. Is that going to be your next thing? Would be to get on obviously the cycle first?
Well, I've been riding, so I've started to ride.
Okay.
But yeah, it's more likely that I would take on a challenge on the bicycle prior to the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like yeah.
Right, we'll have to do a part 2, Mickey, sometime. Definitely, there's still so much more to talk about. I didn't really get half of my questions out even still. There was loads still left from the guys, so we'll definitely have to do a part 2 in the new year if that's all right.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't see you right in the minute, but
yeah, I don't know how to fix that.
No. As long as we can hear you well, so that was good. I appreciate your time anyway, Mickey. I really appreciate that, mate.
Yes. Well, thanks for having me on. And
absolute pleasure.
It was good to talk to you. I hope I didn't waste any of your time.
No, it was very good. It was an absolute pleasure to speak to you, mate, and meet you. It was great. After we've had a few chats before and stuff, it was just great to meet you, and awesome to listen to some of your experiences and memories over the years. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting life.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially as a motorcycle racer, you get a lot of really amazing opportunities to be in a lot of great places and meet great people, and yeah, it's a pleasure.
Right, I'll speak to you soon. I'll keep in touch with you, Mickey, and then hopefully we'll talk again in the new year. It'd be great.
Okay, I'll message you back and forth, and I'll get you a book.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
and I'll show it on the show as well. That'd be cool.
Well, you can find it on.
How do they find it, Mickey?
Yep.
How do they find it? Can they just go on the internet?
On Amazon. You can go
yeah.
and look on Amazon and
Yep.
just look for my name, the right spelling, MickeyDymond, and it's called The Legends of the Road.
Brilliant. I put the pictures up earlier so people would have saw that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, I'll get in touch with you with that then.
Okay. All right.
Thanks ever so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And thanks to Brenda as well for helping out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much, Mickey. Speak to you soon.
See you later. Cheers.
Top man. Thanks, mate. Bye. Awesome to speak to Micky Dymond. Amazing. Right, people. Popelina. Won't be long, all right? My little Popelina waiting for me. Bless her. Right then, people. So, a few things I just needed to tell you before I go. We had a couple of little issues tonight with I'm not too sure what happened there. Mickey lost his sound once, but in general, it was quite good connection for America as well. It was really good, other than that one jump off. So Chad Reed tickets of the full kit behind me, as you can see, signed on the look, signed on the back of Reed's shirt. That was his shirt and bottoms that he wore at Motley Basin British Grand Prix. I think about 40 tickets have gone of the 100 tickets. So message me if you want to get involved in that competition for tickets. It's £20. So get hold of me for that. The next interviews I mentioned on the last one, we got Ollie Olsen, three-time world speedway champion Ollie Olsen in the 70s, 7 p.m. on Monday UK time. Then it's Gordon Crockard on Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK time Wednesday. And then obviously I've got Boxing Day evening, JD and friends, Mr. John Davis and friends. We've got Neil Midlow, as they call him, and two Americans, Dennis Sagalos and Steve Gresham. And then also coming on is former American gladiator, the Cobra, Steve Luxton. He will be joining the guys. He's a speedway fanatic as well, and into his Exeter, into the Exeter team. And then also Stefan Everts has spoke to me as well and said that he's got hold of Roger Da Costa for me as well. So we're going to sort out a date for that. So that'll be really cool. What else was I going to say? Oh, want to make a big thank you to Mr. Brian Jorgensen. You might have seen my interview with the Danish legend, and he sent me a couple of absolute peaches. I couldn't believe this. I got this today. It's been coming for a while. So he sent me his British Championship winning Fox gear, and as you can see there, look, it's got Brian Jorgensen number 8 on the back. That's his British Championship Fox kit, and he's got the complete kit. He sent me the bottoms as well. So I'm absolutely buzzing about this. There, look, you can see the Brian Jorgensen on the bottoms there. And then on the front, on these Axo bottoms, look, he's wrote his name on the front of there as well. So that was amazing. Buzzing about that. And then he also sent me his Germany winning GP kit. Can't believe this. This is my first. Ben Piggin sent me a Motocross the Nation shirt from 98 Foxhills, which was really cool. But this is my first pro rider that sent me some of my own memorabilia to keep. And he sent me his shirt, his full kit from when he won the MX GP in Germany. And on the back there, look, he's put. I was well chuffed for this. Jorgensen, to my friend Lee Ashby, number 8 Brian Jorgensen, 2004 when he won the Grand Prix, and then also the bottoms as well to go with it. As you can see, he's got a real nice butt patch on there. Jorgensen with the Danish flaglet on the pit bull, and then he's wrote also on there as well. Where did he write? He's wrote on this somewhere. He's also put. Don't know if you can see that. So it's that side, isn't it? He's put 2 Lee Ashby. He's got his number 8 there, look, as well on the front. And Yamaha on the back, look, when he's riding the Yamaha on the Axone, he's put 2 Lee Ashby on the front of them as well. Amazing. So big thanks to Brian Jorgensen. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely buzzing about that. That turned up today. So Really excited about that. Thank you very much, Mr. Jorgensen. Much appreciated. Top man. Really chuffed for that. What else was I going to say? Oh, and also the news on the next bike. I think I might have a couple of pictures. I'll just quickly check it. I don't know if I was trying to do this before I got on with Mickey. There is going to be the new bike people for the new competition. It's coming to me on Monday. I will receive this on Monday, and it's a 2021 250cc two-stroke Yamaha. So yeah, first bike was the Suzuki, the Travis Pastrana replica from the Puerto Rico donations, and the second one was obviously Rob Herring's Honda Silkline 91 Honda. And now we're actually having a brand new bike, brand new, but a two-stroke, keeping it in the two strokes. So it's a 250cc two-stroke, and I believe I don't think you're going to be able to get any of these in the country now. Apparently they're pretty much all gone. So I think there's a couple of other pictures there. Look, you can see some four-strokes in the background, some new four-strokes. Look, yeah, but this is the new bike competition. I'm receiving it on Monday, so obviously I'll hopefully get some pictures on Monday, and I'll obviously try and share it with you guys on Ollie Olsen's in Ollie Olsen's interview. I'll try and get some decent pictures for you guys to see, maybe even starting pictures of the bike. Starting videos. I might get videos and get these up on the thing. So yeah, it's going to be a 2021 brand new Yamaha 250cc two-stroke. So can't wait to get that, and some lucky person's going to win that. How about that? And many thanks for you all coming on. I've just having a quick look at your comments. Quality, thanks both. Big thanks, guys, from Mick. Thank ever so much, everyone come on. Sorry about the couple of little technical issues we had. I'm not too sure what was that. Thanks for both. Big thanks, guys. A lot of thanks, Mickey Hub. Top man. Awesome, mate. So, yeah. So that's going to be the next bike then, people. 2021 250cc Yamaha. Brand new. Brand spanking new. Can't wait. I've not seen a brand new motocross bike since Mr. Adam Chatfield's dad bought me the Honda, I think, just before the finals of 1999, when I took my sponsored TM back because I'd had enough of it. So I've not seen a new bike since 1999. So there you go. So what's that now? 21 years. So yeah, can't wait to get the new bike here. And I'll get her started, and we'll fire her up and listen to that. Should be a peach. Now, what an amazing prize that'll be for someone. Hey, pretty cool. So buzzing for that, and I'll give you all the details and everything on Monday about that and what we're going to do and stuff. But yeah, thanks ever so much. And I just see Adam Fry pop up on there. Thanks, Lee. Enjoyed that. What a top man. Thanks ever so much, mate. Good to see you on here, Adam. So yeah, so we've got some cool ones. A couple more before Christmas. Monday night, Ollie Olsen, 3-time world champion. He had 3 world titles in the 70s. And then on Wednesday, former British champion, multi-British champion, Irishman, Gordon Crockard. That'd be really cool. So he come back to me out of nowhere, actually. I didn't, and got back to me. So hopefully someone's put the word in, because I did speak to a couple of the guys and they were going to put a word in. So he's come back to me, and so we got that for next Wednesday night. And then obviously the Boxing Day evening bonanza. Hopefully when you've all had your presents opening and your family gatherings on Christmas Day and then Boxing Day, you normally end up watching a pretty mundane film on Boxing Day night, all laxed out. Hopefully in the red panties. Yeah, we might have to break out the red panties for the new bike. What do you reckon? Maybe some new ones, because it's Christmas and all. Maybe I need some like new frilly red panties or something. Or I might have to get blue panties for this, won't I? My mum's taking the mick. Bet Lainey can't wait for the new bike. I don't know. I reckon she might like the new bike. She likes more than you think, mother. See, she's trying to cause trouble there, isn't she? But yeah, buzzing from the Brian Jorgensen kit. And then obviously the new bikes turn up Monday. Loads going on. Can't wait for that. Hope you guys. Yeah, Boxing Day should be fun. Boxing Day night. So that's 2 Americans, Steve Gresham and Dennis Zagalos, quality riders. Steve Gresham rode for Bristol. I want to say, I'm sure it was Bulldogs. Bristol Bulldogs. Where the IKEA is now in Bristol is where the Bristol Speedway used to be. Bristol Bulldogs. Your legends were there. Phil Crumps that ended up at Swindon and them guys. And Steve Gresham, American, he was there and he went to Swindon as well, early 80s. So he's going to be on with Dennis Zagalos. Absolute another legend of American Speedway. And then Neil Middleditch and John Davis. And I know you guys loved it when John Davis did his interview. Slightly honest. So sure it'll be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get new pants for this new bike. I can't wear some old red panties when the new bike turns out. I'm gonna have to get something frilly for this. Right, people, I'm gonna go and sort my Popolina out. Me and Popolina. Hope you all have a good weekend. I'm gonna try and enjoy my weekend with my little Poppy and my Laney Lou, of course. And then so I will see you all Monday night. And keep up with everything that's going on online. So, because I will be announcing all the stuff I've just announced now. I've still only put my Ollie Olsen post on 1 or 2 things. I didn't have time to post it up. So I'll be posting up advertising about Gordon Crockard. And then obviously Stefan Everts has talked to Roger DaCosta for me. So that's going to be brilliant to do that. And then I'll obviously announce the John Davis one with Dennis Zagalos, Steve Gresham, Neil Middleditch, and the former American gladiator, the Cobra. He's got his own little museum going on as well. And then, which is pretty cool. And I know he's an Exeter fan. Well, my uncle was Exeter as well, Martin. Yeah, so thanks to Brian Jorgensen, top man. I did speak to him tonight. Really appreciate that, Brian. Wow. 2 sets of kit, British Championship Fox winning kit, and your AXO German GP winning kit. Wow. And wrote to me on there. Really appreciate that. Amazing. What a man. Top guy. Speak to you all soon then, people. I'll take that down, shall I? Speak to you all soon. Leave you on the note. It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Ciao, Bella. Speak to you all soon. Cheers.